Okay, it's recording. It's recording.
Hello everyone, this is Vanilla Jane, part of Moe magazine, and today we have Freak Slug here.
Hello.
She is a music artist and has a new single out. Yay! Okay, so firstly, Freak Slug, where were you
I
born?
was born in Manchester, but my mum's Russian, so I'm half Russian, and my surname's from Sicily. So I've got a weird sort of blood mix, but culturally I am English.
That's like really cool. So did your Russian heritage have any larger effect on your life and how you grew up?
Definitely, yeah. I was brought up in a Russian household, so yeah, for sure. Like I only speak Russian with my grandma, and my mum's very sort of different to English people. Let's just say that.
So,
Yeah.
with being Russian, do you think it had any effect on how you make your music?
I wouldn't say it's affected the way I make my music. Well, I guess you could argue probably because I'm quite direct in my vocals. Like in my lyrics, I'm not scared to say the truth, and I don't wishy-washy, like, do you know what I mean? Write, basically. I write very honestly. And I think that's quite a trait of a Russian person, to speak honestly and like directly. So yeah.
Yeah, and the forwardness and bluntness of it, it's just... and also I feel when you're making art, that's the best way to go about it. Like, you want to be honest and upfront with your feelings.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was actually speaking to my friend on the phone about this the other day, and I think that I do that because I'm very communicative naturally, and I feel like it's important. You know, when people listen to your music, that's how people really think. Not many people express it in words, but I do. Maybe the shyer people can relate to my music because they think that loudly in their heads, but maybe they don't express it. So they feel like understood, hopefully through my music as well, because of how direct I am. Because everybody's direct inside their own heads. It's just whether they actually speak it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the way you put it is a really good way to put it. Because when I was listening to your music, I'm not much of a direct person myself. And when I heard it and was listening to it, it felt very open and very like, oh, I understand this. Your music felt very outspoken to me personally.
Yeah, I am very outspoken. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, to be honest. But yeah.
Since you're Russian, what is your name outside of your alias, Freak Slug, your birth name?
My actual name is Ksenia. Xenia, some people. In England, people say Xenia. In Russian, it's Ksenia.
Oh, that's really nice. And does it mean anything?
I've actually researched this, and yeah, it does, because it's a Greek name as well, Ksenia, and it actually means like hospitality. So like looking after people, like caring for people, like being a welcoming person, I suppose. So yeah.
Do you feel that you, as a person, connect with your name, that you're very hospitable and you care and take care of people?
I do think I'm actually quite inclusive when it comes to people. Yeah, I always feel like I give most attention to the shyest people in the room because I just feel like they need confidence and like the same attention as somebody really loud in the room gets. So in a way, yeah, I suppose so. And also, like, I used to waitress a lot, which is obviously hospitality. So quite ironic, really. But yeah.
But I think that's really beautiful because, yeah, I'd be the shy person in the room if I'm being honest. And yeah, I think always with shy people, having someone who sees them makes them feel less like they're a wall or they just fade into the background.
Yeah, for me, I'm always drawn to quieter people. Probably because we've got something to learn from each other. Like, I love to give people confidence, and likewise, I love to know learn people's calmness also. Do you know what I mean? It's an exchange of different qualities.
Which sounds really great and is really great. So on that note, with your name, how did you come with your alias Freak Slug?
I was living in Barcelona at the time, and I decided when I was drunk that it was a funny idea, and that's kind of it, really. it's just stupid and playful and, I don't know, catchy as well, like just kind of memorable because of how ridiculous it is, which is something I wanted.
And is it one of those that it was just like, okay, this is going to be like my social media name, or were you full on, this is going to be my artist name?
I guess, yeah, it was my artist name at the time, and I used to change it a lot, but I just sort of stuck with it really. And yeah, it's just, it is just kind of a running joke that I just kind of, because I don't take myself too seriously and I'm quite sarcastic, so I just see it as quite a sarcastic, stupid name. That's the vibe, really.
Well, I think it's a good vibe. Like, it's also, it makes people feel more comfortable, I think. So it's like, it's not like, it's like something that is usually like a goofy name. You feel comfortable with it because it doesn't make you feel less than, if that makes sense. Like Freak Slug would seem like a common thing to have fun with. Like, I know my one friend, she's not an artist, but her Instagram's name is Stacy's Mom from the song Stacy's Mom. And
yeah, that's good, that.
Yeah. And so I think it also takes it out that artists are people too. Like, they have their own lives and they're not just above everyone else.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I am a human with issues, just like everybody. Do you know what I mean? That I'm trying to work through. But I've also got a message to share, which ends up being public.
Or do you think that the greatest message is that you would want to share?
I feel like a lot of my music is about inspiring people to speak the truth. But also I feel like I've got a message for women as well, to inspire them to create and feel fearless about it. There's a lot of different kinds of messages, and I think it's evolving as I grow older. I think I'm quite spiritual. I like to give sort of subtle spiritual messages about being in touch and manifestation and things like that. But that's yet to come. That's all unreleased stuff. But currently what's out is more like playful, like romantic, and being honest in a romantic relationship. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe, really. A lot of it's honesty and communication and portraying that and hopefully giving that confidence to other people too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything in life, the best way is just to communicate and to be honest, because usually when you're not, that's when things tend to go wrong, because no one has that understanding of the other person, because no one's telling them how they actually feel.
Yeah.
And so you said with spirituality, now out of interest, the doves on your recent album, not your newly released song, on your recent album, did they have any correlation to the spirituality that you're speaking about?
Yeah, a little bit, actually. So basically, I played this game with some friends once where you pick 3 animals in order. So like, I picked a cat first, and then I picked a lion, and then I picked a bird, right? So the first animal that you pick, play this with your friends, it's pretty good game. The first animal that you pick is, well, it basically represents how you perceive yourself. So I picked a cat because I feel like I'm quite like, well, you know, I'm not going to go into that. But, and then the second animal I picked was a lion. So that's how other people perceive me. And then the third animal that you pick is who you truly are. So I kind of like resonated with that a lot, because I don't know, I just thought it's freedom, isn't it? It's like flying, it's like solo, it's journey, it's, I don't know, it's very spiritual, really. And I guess in a way, yeah, like who I truly am doesn't reflect the felines at all. But it's what I portray, and it's how I see myself on a kind of like instant look. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like you said, like that whole dynamic of how you see yourself and others see you. But compared to who you really are, it's also different and complex. And I think with the doves, how I saw it, it seemed like peace. And usually because doves represent good things to come and prosperity.
Totally.
And
it represents peace in, like, doesn't it represent that the war is over, or is that a different bird? I think it is dove, isn't it? Yeah. So I mean, with all my art, I kind of like, I've got a lot of different styles because I studied at uni for like 3 years in London for fine art, basically. So I've developed a style over a long period of time, with lots of different styles. Do you know what I mean? I paint, collage, make videos, like. So yeah.
So what inspired you towards those on your album artwork, like the Koki drawings and the collages on your earlier albums, and now then to the doves?
I mean, so those earlier like album covers were sort of, I drew them when I was in uni, and at the time I was really inspired by neoliberalism, which is kind of it's neo-expressionism, sorry. And it's basically like Basquiat's kind of style, like the artist from New York. I don't know if you know him. But yeah, he's just very free, childlike, like intuitive, colourful, garish, daring. Like it's very just like, again, quite honest and true to him. And I was inspired by that a lot.
That's great. And the childlikeness you speak about, do you think it had any reflection on your own inner child and letting that develop or go or heal in any way?
Yeah, I think it's always important. I mean, daily I'm in touch with the inner child. I think it's so important to have a playfulness. A lot of people, when they get older, they get wrapped up in sort of ideologies and culture of what you're supposed to do at this age, that age, X, Y, Z. And there's really no way you should do anything. So long as you're in touch with your inner child, I suppose it's something I always wish to be in touch with,
I think we all do. Like, many people, like you said, like they either completely write off their inner child or they don't take the time to heal it, which ends up harming them in the long run. So it is really important to try keep in touch, and like you said, that playfulness. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the genre of the music you create?
I'd say it's dream pop, bedroom indie, like lo-fi, fuzzy dream style.
And do you think you're going to stick with that type of style, or are you slowly straying away to something new? Do you want to discover new styles?
I've got a lot of different stuff. Like, honestly, the shit I've got at home, like, it's crazy. I've got like 3 albums of stuff. But the way this music world goes is everything's so slow, and I'm too quick, really. So I've got a lot of stuff that it's just way beyond what's out now. It's way different, not in a bad way, not like too strain. It's always me, and you will always feel that essence. But I'm definitely exploring a lot of different sounds and styles. But it's always still Freak Slug, you know?
Yeah, but that's great, because I think as an artist yourself, you should try to develop different styles and get out of your comfort zone and see what works, what doesn't work, and just explore it. I think that is the greatest thing of being an artist.
Definitely, I always do that. Yeah, no problem. Like, I love to collaborate with different artists with different sounds. I like to make music in different places as well, because I find that different places can bring out different sides and styles in you that you don't know about. Like, if a house is maybe more in the nature or in the mountains or in a city, I feel like it can really impact just the sound completely.
And the places where you've traveled to, which ones do you think have had a greater effect on you and your music? And have any inspired you to further diversify the process of creating music?
I'd say like I probably started like getting, because I'm from Manchester and the sort of music scene here is really like quite dancey, and I never really like, I kind of shunned off the bandy side of me for a while because I was out dancing to more electronic stuff. But then when I moved to London, like I fell into a crowd that was really into bands and sort of that kind of sound, like the lo-fi, like dreamy indie shit. So that inspired me. But to be honest, what really sort of flew things off, what do you say? Where it took off, that's it, is Barcelona. Like, honestly, when I moved there, I was going out with a girl and she basically fully inspired me to just actually go with it with Freak Slug, because I never really believed that it could be successful. Like, I just wasn't really, I always thought I'd be a painter, basically, since I was like a child. And she kind of saw something in me that I didn't really see. A lot of people did, and I just thought, oh, whatever, like, there's no point, you know, it's impossible to do all this shit. But you know what, like, I recorded Disorder there in my bedroom and, you know, did everything. And because I was missing home, Disorder's like a Manchester band. I mean, Joy Division's a Manchester band. So I was like, I'm missing home, I might as well do a little cover. I was feeling not inspired to do my own stuff. So I kind of did that and then released that. And it did really well. And I was surprised. And it kind of gave me drive to actually keep making like more my own stuff. So I'd say Barcelona really shaped me, because when you're alone and away from home and everything that you identify with, you find who you really are, because you're alone with your present self. You're not with your past self. You're with now. So I was totally like at one with sort of my ambitions and my dreams. And I realized that Freak Slug actually, towards the end of me being in Barcelona, it was 2 years I was there. And then, yeah, I sort of just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. There's no point not trying. And I'm really glad I sort of made that decision, to be honest.
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this is really glad too, because yes, you do produce amazing music, and like you said previously, it is very honest and blunt and out there, which truly is great. Yeah. And like you're saying with being alone, I read something and I think maybe this words perfectly what you're saying. It said, when you really are comfortable with being by yourself and being alone, you're no longer lonely. It's more you're in solitude because you're so comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, it's important to recharge and be alone for sure. I know when those times are like for example, at the moment I'm feeling quite, not introvert in like a shy way, but just I'm not into big crowds and I'd rather just sort of be at home making music, really. But it fluctuates. Like sometimes I really do love to be around people, and that's where I get my inspiration from, through talking, dancing, and then I come home and I sort of take all of that energy and knowledge and like fun and you know, make music from happiness. That's like the best times, because I don't really make music when I'm sad anymore. I don't have the energy. Like I always make music when I'm happy, because I actually have the energy and I get really excited, run around and shit. I'm like fucking mental when I want to make a song. So I'm like, yeah, so it's good to have the balance.
That sounds the best, honestly, because I know so many artists who only have that sadness to make music. And so when they are happy, a part of them is sad that they don't have that sadness to make it. Although you shouldn't have to be sad to produce music and your art.
Yeah, I used to make a lot more music when I was sad. Like back in the early Freak Slug days, like when it was proper lo-fi, no drums, just like me in my bedroom just being weird and experimenting for real, like with loads of sounds and shit. But yeah, I just don't have the energy when I'm sad. I just sort of like, it's more when I'm happy. So I aim to just do loads of things now, keep busy, and then when I'm more quiet, I take that and use it in a good way. Don't get me wrong, though. I still write. When I'm sad, though, I still write, though. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm sad or like on the train and I'm thinking about things, I will write all of these feelings down, and I write most of my poems on my phone. You know, poems that kind of like basically they change into lyrics. And then when I'm in a good mood, I use those lyrics and make them more sarcastic. And then that becomes like a funny kind of joke for me personally. Obviously, I don't know if that translates, but like, especially in the newer stuff, I don't know, obviously. Yeah.
And does that correlate a lot with you like having fun with your music? And like you said, with your name Freak Slug, it's basically just something fun and random. Do you think that the way you make music like that also just, it correlates to you as a whole, as an artist?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I definitely want to have fun when I make music, and yeah, definitely. People that make music with me as well have fun, because I do, you know, I'm just having a joke and laugh, and yeah, totally. That's what it's about.
That's great. And then just out of interest, you are a female artist. How does it feel to be a female artist? Like in the entire music world. Like earlier you were mentioning how the music world is extremely slow and that you can't just put out what you want to, because if you do, then it might not get as much hype around it or love for it.
That's a different process. But in general, like, I feel really good to be a female. I actually think, well, I feel really lucky and special to be a woman in this lifetime. And I love being a woman. I think in general, there's more space for women's voices and talent than ever before. Or at least I perceive it that way. And that's kind of how my reality goes. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if it's not true, I'd rather storm ahead, because for me it's true. And I believe that I'm worth it. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. And I like, I want to be an example to women who maybe feel still intimidated by men, because they are intimidating, like, for sure. Like, I've definitely been in situations in studios with like 8 guys and, you know, just me. And it's totally intense, but I've learned through time, don't be in those spaces, because they're not on my level. I don't need to be around that energy where they don't give me the respect, the value that I deserve. So through that, I've learned, yeah, of course, that world does exist, but do I need to associate with it? No. Can I create my own world? Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making my own world, choosing carefully who I collaborate with, usually one-on-one, where it's a conversation and it's not a competition.
Well, I find that very empowering. And I think that also not just would correlate with being an artist, but also women in the business world or the corporate world who are put in those situations and need to understand that they're not, like, it's not their fault that they're in there, and that they should try get out of it as much as they can, because as you said, like, you don't owe them anything.
Yeah, I see, I've had jobs where, you know, I'm working for someone. Oh my God, it doesn't work. It doesn't end well, because I can't stand being told what to do. I either get fired or quit, because it's just not my thing. Like, I can't do it. And I'm so glad Freak Slugs happened, because it's just, just makes sense, really. Life was leading me to this position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, usually those worlds, they don't really accept outspoken women. But when you're an artist, it's you're yourself, and you can be whoever you want to be and not have to worry about disappointing anyone.
Yeah, man, I am my own boss.
Exactly. And with being a female artist, how do you feel about constantly being asked who you're dating, or if you're dating your guitarist? And How do you feel about those type of questions? And do you think it would be different if you weren't a female artist?
I think maybe if I was a male artist, people would ask me more about or be more interested in my creative decisions. For example, like me directing my own videos, me filming that dancer. You know, people probably assume that I don't do those things, but actually I do a lot. Like I'm very, very much in control of the whole of Freak Slug, like the image, the videos, the editing, you know what I mean? Like everything, the artwork. So people probably overlook that because they maybe assume that I don't do all of those things because, I mean, it's just the feeling I get anyway. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I understand it. Like many think, oh, one woman can't look after or take care of all these multiple things in their lives. Like sometimes I think, oh, they have to have a man to look after it or to like have help from someone when that's not always the case.
Don't get me wrong though, like there's definitely some really cool guys in my life. Like Nico's really sick. Like me and him make tunes. Like I do love making music with Nico. It's great. And like Glue 70 as well. I love making music with him. But I also love to make music alone and find, just to remind myself that I can, and it's cool to have that time with myself. I don't need to rely on people, and I think it's cool to dare yourself to try things alone as a woman, because I do think it is scary because there's not, in history, there's not been many examples up until, the late 1900s, really, like where, do you know what I mean? Like famous painters, can you name 5 famous painters of men quicker than 5 female painters? Probably. Can you name 5 famous male writers quicker than you can name 5 famous female writers? Probably. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, where are the examples in history of females succeeding and doing things alone? There's not as many as there are of men. So of course, it's harder. It is harder for women. So yeah, man, like.
And as you were saying, like you do all your drawings yourself and your page and your videos. You do your merch yourself too.
Yeah. So I'm currently trying to print some stuff out. Oops, the cat's not gone. I've been designing that. Sort of like drew them and then put them into Photoshop. And it's easy as really. I love to doodle.
To do those doodles in your previous merch. Like, was there any artist that inspired you, or was it just a doodle you did and you're like, this will look great?
No, it's just a doodle I did, really. Like 2 doodles. 2 doodles, 2 t-shirts.
That's great.
I feel like it opens a part of you, like, to your listeners and to your fans. It's like, it shows you, like, you're not trying to do, like, be someone. It's literally just your doodles, what you came up with. It's yours.
Yeah, I think it's important to be authentic. Sure. And I can't really help but be authentic because, I like who I am and there's nothing to hide, really, in terms of style and like look, the artwork and whatnot.
On being authentic, how would you describe your personal style?
My personal style, like my dress sense, probably it varies from different moods. I can sort of meander between masculine and feminine. I like everything. Honestly, I feel like I just can wear anything. I wear like pullovers, like comfy stuff, like trainers, and then can be really feminine as well, like dresses, like loads of like colourful makeup on my eyes. I'm experimenting with that at the moment. So I feel free in how I dress, and I love it really.
And would there be a connection between your personal style and how you produce your music? Like on that freedom level and the love of it and just the authenticity?
Probably the level, like the versatility of it. So because I feel like I can be both masculine and feminine, I'd like to think I portray both energies in my music, from like the humor to the sort of like higher notes, the dreamy, ethereal sounds, with the kind of dissonant sounds, which I feel more like maybe masculine as well. I don't know. Is it controversial? I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's more how versatile I am and different sounds I have. Yeah.
Which I think, just like you said, just it's you. It's very open. What do you feel are the largest influences on how you create music?
Definitely people. Like conversations with people. Like if I was alone in this world, I wouldn't make any music because I wouldn't be inspired. I mean, I'd be inspired by the nature, but there's only so much you can talk about the trees and the sky. Like most of the emotional, like real life shit, which my music is basically about like the day-to-day life. So yeah, I'd say people and conversations and laughter and sadness inspire me the most.
And do you think you would consider yourself an empath because you like take and you understand these people and you use it to create your own music? Do you think being able to understand how they're feeling and talking to them makes you an empath or more empathetic rather than sympathetic?
Yeah, I'd say more and more I'm actually beginning to realize I am empathetic. I never thought I was, but I've realized on reflection I actually am. Yeah, for sure. I do. Oh God, the cat is scratching the sofa. Stop that. Yeah, I definitely do take on people's emotions. You know, like, especially if I like connect, like give it attention. So for example, like strangers, oh man, like there's been times when I've got too involved in strangers' lives just by looking at them and feeling, and I'm like, fucking hell, that was too much. Like, for example, like there was this woman, like she was definitely in her 90s, and this was the other day, she was like really scared about the direction of the train, and she didn't know like if she was on the right train basically, and she was clearly upset and worried, and she was asking people, is this the right train? And I was like, yeah, it is, like, you know. And she was like, she sat down and she was like shaking her head, and I could see like the worry and sadness and disappointment in her eyes, and I just like started like sort of like crying. I was like, fucking hell, I'm really feeling how like she feels right now. And it's really intense, and I feel really sorry for her, and I just want to like talk to her, but obviously there's a lot of people, and it's quite like I don't want to cause a scene. So I realized like I obviously am an empath to an extent.
Well, I think that's like obviously like it's sad and it does take a lot out of you, but being able to have that quality is such an amazing quality to have, because I think it also makes the people who you're empathetic for feel better and more like less alone, which that's great to have.
Yeah, I agree. It is important. It's important to have like emotional boundaries as well for yourself, like
definitely.
which I do have, so I'm quite good with that.
Good. And being able to grow and understand what your boundaries are is the best way to come about it. And speaking of growth, between your EP and your latest album, between your singles, your first EPs and your latest albums, where do you feel the most growth has come from as an artist and as how you create music?
A lot of the growth is like learning, like, because I've only really like taken Freak Slug seriously. Like I learn a lot through like shows, like literally, but growth has just been happening sort of exponentially for Freak Slug. I don't know where it's come from, but like, you know, like the Friday I don't know, just things keep happening and it's doing well, so it's good.
Yeah.
But I feel like the most growth has happened behind closed doors, to be honest. Like, I feel like honestly, if I'm speaking honestly, I think what's out now, sort of like kind of child play for me. Like, it's not what's yet to come.
It's just surface level.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been growth, like, for sure, but I don't think it's the best of me yet. Like, what I've got behind closed doors and the stuff I've made, in the last 2 years is the better side of me, really.
Yeah.
So the growth is yet to be seen.
I mean, you must be really excited about that. I know I am.
I'm too excited. It's stressful. It's actually stressful, the excitement I'm going through.
And like you said with the exponential growth, like how it just happens so fast, I can think of so many examples of artists who, like you, were just so, well, I want to say underground, but I feel like that term is so overused lately. But yeah, underground, why not? Yeah, definitely is. Like YouTubers like Conan Gray or Cave Town or Chloe Minot, I think it is. Like they were all just YouTubers just slowly releasing their music. And now they have these huge platforms where they play for giant festivals and just blew up completely. Do you think you're ready for that blow up? Are you excited for it? Did you ever think it would come?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for whatever, man. Like, I'm not really scared of that. I don't see it as an issue at all. Like, and if it is an issue, then it's clearly my destiny that I like grow through that. So yeah, I'm up for it. I'm up for whatever.
Yeah. And do you think, did you ever expect it? Like when you started, did you ever think I could slowly become that big?
Like I said, when I was in Barcelona, I made the choice to give it a go. And I'm surprised at how well received it was, how well it did by just a chance. Like it could have done shit, like it could, but for some reason it's not. So I'm rolling with that. Yeah. And I love it, man. I love it. It's definitely what I was supposed to do. So I'm glad I found it.
And so which project do you think has contributed more to the artist?
I think Radio, man. Like Radio is a catchy tune and it's the one that everyone sings back to me, at the shows and stuff. So obviously that's like, because there's not much out there. I've not got much out there. So yeah, like I'd say Radio must have changed things.
For me personally, I love your song videos. Like I resonate a lot with it and it's constantly on repeat. What is the backstory behind it and the emotion that it evokes in yourself?
Yeah, Videos is about an ex and they were basically a filmmaker and we used to collaborate together and take photographs of each other on film. And it's basically, it's a love letter to them because we don't talk and it's just a nostalgic reflection.
That's beautiful. And that nostalgic reflection, do you feel like you're glad that you don't, well, not glad, but like you feel like there's closure and that you've each gone your own ways and that everything is better for each other, like on your own now? Like there's no regret behind it.
I mean, I think when you love somebody, you will always love them. But you move on, you move on and it's kind of how it goes. It's just kind of the way it goes. You always think you'll return, but realistically, life moves you forward. So, yeah.
And you're speaking of when you sing in front of an audience and how they sing the music back to you. What would you describe that feeling of being in front of an audience?
It's mad. It is crazy. Like I said, when, because I've only started taking Freak Slug seriously for a few years. So I used to go to shows all the time, like in London, and see the artists on stage, and I'd be like, fucking hell, like imagine, like imagine me, like I would never do that. Like in a million years, there's no way you would see me on the stage like ever. And here I am, just like, I'm a character. Like I honestly, like I surprise myself who the fuck I become. Like it's mental. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
How do I every time become so just it blows my mind. I don't know. I would never have predicted.
Like it's surreal almost. Like, is this really happening?
Yeah, like I don't know. Something overtakes me. Like I know it's a classic when artists say that, but something does. Like I don't know. Like possesses me.
Yeah.
And I just have a good time. Just play and just be stupid. Again, it's part of the Freak Slug thing where it's like quite like nonchalant, quite playful, silly, careless. And if I fuck up, like it's part of it. So, do you know what I mean? There's not much I can do wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like your fans won't judge you for it. They'll probably laugh along with you, enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there must be a freedom in that. How does that freedom feel like?
The freedom of being careless. I mean, it feels good. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still nerve-wracking, man. Like, I've not even played, like I've only been playing about a year. So it's still fresh for me to be, looked at and not scrutinized, but, people look at you in it. Obviously, you're the singer, so everyone's fucking looking at you and you're like, yeah, hey. It feels good. It's also scary. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a lot of different emotions, and it's definitely relieving when you come off the stage and you're like, right, I've done that. It's a rush. It's a lot of different things.
Yeah,
it's a lot of different.
It sounds amazing. It does. It sounds wow. That's the most I can put it into. It really sounds wow. And do you have anything new coming up, like more festivals you're playing at or shows you're giving or concerts?
Yeah, I've got a show in Manchester at the end of this month. I've got some shows in Feb, some in mainly like London and Manchester is where I'm playing. Like, there's some playing with Yumi Zuma in London and Manchester in March. Yeah, that'll be nice.
That sounds really great.
Yeah.
How do you think you would feel if you ever ended up playing international?
Yeah, I'm up for it. Like, I mean, planes, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, planes in quick succession, but I'll deal with that when the boat comes or the plane comes,
Yeah.
I'm just going to roll with that. So, yeah.
I think that's all the time we have for today. But I do want to say a huge thank you for taking this interview with me. I really enjoyed this interview. I hope you did too.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You are a great artist and we're really excited to see what you have more to come.
Oh, thanks so much.